The night my daughter took me to court to evict me. My grandson stood up in front of the judge and did something no one expected. I didn't cry, not even when she avoided my eyes. I simply placed my red folder on the table, every truth recorded, every lie documented. That was just the beginning. The morning started slow, the way I liked it. My percolator hissed its little rhythm while gospel music murmured on the radio. The house smelled faintly of cinnamon and coffee, comfort layered on memory. My husband's old recipe card was pinned to the fridge, his neat handwriting still steady after all these years. "Baby, keep the porch light on," he used to say, as if it was a promise that light could chase away loss. I swept the front step, letting the broom's scratch fill the silence, until a white contractor van eased to a stop by the curb. I thought maybe a neighbor was remodeling. The rain was soft, harmless. Then my phone buzzed. Rowena's text. "Mom, stay put. We're optimizing the flow." They didn't knock. Rowena walked straight in, smile wide like she was announcing a parade. Damon trailed her, shaking his keys like a man who owned the place. 2 workers followed, hauling boxes of tools and bright blue rolls of tape. "We're just modernizing, Mom," Rowena chirped, heading straight for my curtains, the ones I hand-stitched the year Micah was born. I stood there, mop still in hand. "Y'all slow your roll. This ain't a showroom." Damon grinned, said, "Natural light helps the vibe." His words were smooth, practiced, meant to sound reasonable. Rowena's voice softened, that tone she used when she wanted something. "It's about safety. Mom, therapist says clutter makes you anxious." "Clutter?" I asked. "You mean the life I built?" She didn't answer, just nodded at the worker taking down my husband's portrait. Micah peeked around the corner, his big brown eyes watching it all. I smiled for him, though it burned inside me. Damon reached for my husband's service cap on the mantel, placed it neatly into a box. I caught his wrist. "That stays." He didn't argue, but the smirk lingered. Rowena switched to a new script. "You've done so much already. Let us help you age safely. Fewer stairs, single-floor living. We found a senior loft with a garden view." Her words sparkled like a sales pitch. I straightened my back. "I've got handrails, a fixed roof, and taxes paid through December. That's safety." Damon knelt by the cabinets, marking them with blue tape. "Open concept sells faster," he said. I heard sells louder than anything else. He picked up chalk, drawing an X across my mantel. My husband's urn sat there. I moved it first, calm but deliberate. "You'll stop right there," I said. "This isn't open concept, it's sacred." Rowena sighed. "Mom, you make everything so dramatic." "I make everything mine," I corrected. Her mouth tightened. "You've been difficult for years. I'm exhausted carrying your mental load." I looked her straight on. "You've been rehearsing that line, haven't you?" Damon muttered to the crew. "Keep going." The sound of plastic sheeting filled the air, loud as thunder. I stepped between them and the portrait wall. "Touch one more thing. You'll put it back yourself." Micah froze at the hallway edge. Rowena snapped. "Go to your room." I lowered my voice. "You okay, baby?" He nodded, eyes shining. My hand found my phone, camera open. The crew hesitated when they saw the red light blinking. "Documentation," I said evenly. Damon cursed under his breath. "Non-cooperative seller." The word seller landed like an insult. I stepped outside. Rain tapped my sleeves while the van engine idled. Across the street, my neighbor Bernice watched from her porch, lips pressed tight. Nobody likes to witness a family unravel. I texted the lawyer's card she once gave me. "Talia Cruz. Need you to review something today." Inside, Damon had boxed my quilt, my husband's hat, even my church programs, my life in cardboard. One night, I wrote in black marker, "Booker legacy, do not move." I walked back into my living room. This house is in my name. No one changes a thing until my counsel clears it. My voice didn't shake. Damon rolled his eyes, but the workers froze. Liability outweighs arrogance every time. I took photos of their badges, faces, the clipboard. Rowena's jaw worked tight. "Mom, you're being unreasonable," I said quietly. You don't steamroll a woman who paid off a 30-year note. The doorbell rang. Everyone stopped. I opened it to a courier in a damp jacket, holding a manila envelope with both our names, mine and Rowena's. He handed me the pen. I signed, and the floor seemed to sway under my feet. "Thank you, ma'am," he said. The envelope was heavier than it looked. I turned it over in my hands. Through the wet paper, I could just make out the sender line, County Superior Court. The paper shook in my hands, though the rest of me stayed still. I slit the manila envelope, careful as surgery. The first word hit me like a slap. Eviction, printed bold, right above my full legal name, Clarice Winnell Booker. Below it, 2 petitioners, my daughter, Rowena Chase Lamont, and her husband, Damon. The County Superior Court seal gleamed faintly under the lamp as I skimmed the first page. Their claim, unsafe premises, elder endangerment risk, temporary occupancy transfer. Each phrase felt less like legal jargon and more like betrayal wearing a suit. I whispered, "Steady, Clarice." Just like my mother taught me when bad news came in tidy fonts, I spread each sheet flat on the table, taking photographs with the timestamp visible. Every page went into a clear sleeve and then straight into my husband's old desk drawer. My first defense was always order. I called Talia Cruz's office. The paralegal picked up quick. "Email the petition now," she said, voice brisk. I scanned, sent, attached my receipts, roof repair date, tax payments, contractor invoices. Then I texted Bernice, my neighbor. "Remember that roof crew last spring?" Her reply came fast. "Sure do. The man with the cherry picker, right?" I smiled. Even now. I phoned Reverend Keene next, told him I wouldn't make choir. He prayed short and sweet, something about peace standing taller than anger. I started a new timeline on a yellow legal pad. House campaign. Every date, every quote, every move went down in ink. I wrote one rule across the top. No yelling, no cussing, dignity first, last, and always. When I went back to the petition, my stomach turned at their wording. Temporary occupancy rights for health supervision. It read, "Health supervision, what I needed was respect, not guardians." Another clause requested permission to remove hazardous fixtures. I knew exactly which fixtures they meant. The mantle, the photos, the heart of my home. Then I saw the exhibits. Photos labeled water damage, cracked outlet, clutter hazard. I grabbed a pencil and scribbled in the margins. False, taken before 2023 roof replacement. One line mentioned an anonymous neighbor who'd reported wandering and forgetting the stove. Lies layered with pity. My jaw set. I underlined representative authority twice. Those were the same words Damon had flashed earlier with his clipboard. I added a sticky note. Check forgery attempt? I called Rowena. She answered too quick. "Good, you got served," she said. Her tone sparkled like champagne poured over ice. "Serve the Lord, not your mama," I answered. She didn't laugh. "It's about your safety. Mom, we'll pay for your new place." "What hazard? Rowena, be specific." She hesitated. "You isolate. You forget small things. Like who I raised." Silence, then. "It's about the bigger picture." "The picture's crooked," I said, and hung up. I wrote every word down while her voice still rang in my head. By noon, a neighborhood email arrived titled, "Resources for Elder Safety." Damon's smiling photo topped it, captioned, "Making room for Grandma's comfort." My house was the backdrop. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. "Outside, Mrs." Coleman waved from her porch. "If you need a ride anywhere, honey," she started. "Appreciate it," I said. "Still got my license and good brakes." She smiled thinly and retreated. I printed the post, added it to my growing binder under public image versus legal claims. Paper couldn't lie as easily as people could. Around 3, Bernice called, voice shaking. "Rowena stopped by. Wanted me to sign something. Said I'd noticed you slip sometimes." I closed my eyes, breathed once. "You didn't?" "No, ma'am. I told her I noticed you trim your roses straighter than mine." We laughed. Brittle but real. She texted me a photo of the form, an affidavit template waiting to trap the unwary. I thanked her. "Talia will take your statement," I said. "We'll handle it proper." Bernice hesitated. They had some kind of ring light like they were filming. Let them, I muttered. Every rope they weave is waiting for their own neck. When Micah came home from school, his hoodie was wet, hair curling at the edges. He studied my face. Grandma, Mom says this house is dangerous. I patted the chair beside me. This house has seen storms worse than today. Baby, it's sturdy. His brow furrowed. If somebody lies, is it okay to show people? It's better than okay. It's right. He hugged me tight. The way kids do when they understand more than they should. Something passed between us. An unspoken plan. Talia called back near dusk. You did right not signing anything, huh? She said. We'll file a response and a motion to strike exhibits. She rattled off next steps. Inspector. Affidavits, evidence chain. Her calm steadied me like gospel rhythm. Don't engage them directly, she added. They want reaction. Give them record instead. I promised her I would. After the call, I brewed tea and pulled my checkbook from the drawer. Dignity might be expensive, but I'd pay full price. Night crept in quiet. I wrote 3 names on a notepad, home inspector, notary, counselor, under Reverend Keene's recommendation. Then I taped a new sign by the front door. No entry without written consent. My house felt smaller but stronger, like a fist closing around resolve. I folded my quilt back onto the couch and whispered, We're still here, Booker House. Then my phone chimed. 1 new email. No sender name. Just a subject line. Proof the house is unsafe. I opened it. Breath held. 12 photos spilled across the screen. My living room, my hallway, my kitchen. Taken in the dark while I slept. Talia Cruz pulled up right at 9 sharp. A gray sedan matching the weather. The home inspector followed her. Clipboard ready. Polite but focused. I handed over the blue maintenance binder. Every page tabbed and dated. Roof, rewired outlets, rails, everything's here, I said. We agreed on silence while they worked. The inspector snapped wide and close photos, measured moisture, logged timestamps, his pen scratched steady. Recent roof, 2 years. No active leaks, he said. Talia nodded, recording each room on video. We signed the chain of custody forms, initials neat across the margins. By the time coffee finished brewing, my home had turned into a case file. Micah hovered at the kitchen doorway, eyes shifting from clipboard to camera. Psst. Cruz, he said softly. If somebody lies, can a kid show videos? She crouched to his level. Truth doesn't have an age limit, sweetheart. He pulled out his tablet, nervous but sure. The clips loaded. Rowena and Damon in my living room, whispering about making it look worse, staging corners for poor lighting. My breath froze. One video caught Rowena coaching Mrs. Powell next door. Say she forgets the stove sometimes. Micah's voice trembled. I knew it wasn't right. I kissed the top of his head. You're not choosing sides. Baby, you're choosing the truth. Talia worked fast. She drafted a guardian consent note for me to sign, exported the files to 2 encrypted drives, and printed the metadata. Time, date, location. We labeled every clip, every file name. The inspector initialed each transfer like it was gold. Then we compared those videos with the petition's exhibits line by line. I typed while Talia dictated file names, signatures, cross-references. Damon's glossy hash, aging in place post went into the folder beside the unsafe photos. The contrast was damning. This, she said, isn't care, it's control. Reverend Keene agreed to notarize everything after Sunday service. My binder grew thick with proof, my heartbeat even thicker with purpose. We set up the projector in the dining room. One side showed their petition photos, the cracked outlet, the ceiling stain. The other side, today's footage, repaired outlet, city permit sticker, moisture meter reading 0. The difference spoke louder than any courtroom speech. The inspector circled the images with his pen. No active issue. This is staged. Another clip proved the roof photo predated the replacement. Talia printed the EXIF data. That's what we call evidence. Miss Booker, she said. I nodded slowly. They're not sloppy, they're deliberate. She added Bernice's affidavit draft beside it. Proof of the attempted neighbor manipulation. Justice was assembling itself. One staple at a time. After lunch, I typed a calm email to the HOA. Home passed inspection today. Documents attached. Please correct any misinformation. The reply came quick. Understood. Miss Booker will retract and issue clarification. I read it twice. Let the relief slide quietly through me. Neighbors texted apologies. Awkward but sincere. All good, I answered. Porch lights still on. Damon's online post lost its shine when the HOA announcement spread. Talia smiled. Let the court, not Facebook, see the split screen. I filed the retraction printout under public versus legal narrative. By mid-afternoon, I drew the line in writing. All communication via email. I typed to Rowena and Damon, no entry without written consent. Independent inspector has documented conditions. I attached a photo of the foyer sign. No contractors without owner or council approval. Rowena replied fast. We just want what's best for you. I wrote back. What's best is lawful. Damon sent a winky emoji. Talia handled it. Please preserve all media. Spoliation notice attached. I muted my phone, poured tea, and smiled. Quiet was its own kind of armor. The evening settled gentle. I folded laundry, set Micah's backpack by the door. He asked, Did I do bad? I looked him straight on. You did what grown folks should have done. We prayed short and honest, no extra words. I locked his tablet in my desk drawer, key on my chain. The house exhaled, a rhythm of safety returning, then headlights swept across the living room window. A firm knock followed, a man's voice. Durham CPS, wellness check. Outside, Rowena's voice cut through the air, smooth as ever. We're worried about our son. 2 women from CPS stood under my porch light, their coats damp from the drizzle. The lead Miss Patrice Lowell lifted her badge, calm and courteous. I hit record on my foyer and porch cameras, letting the small red light blink. You're welcome to step in, I said. I'll be recording for accuracy, and my attorney will be on speaker. I texted Talia one line, CPS here, wellness check. Her reply buzzed in seconds. Stay calm, no porch talk, from the curb. Rowena's voice called, We're concerned. I pointed to the sidewalk. Then stay right there while we clear things up. Micah clung to my sleeve until I whispered, We got this, baby. Miss Lowell stepped inside, her partner logging notes on a tablet. We'll just do a brief safety walkthrough. Fine by me, I said. Everything's documented. I handed her the inspector's report and binder from that morning. Chain of custody stickers bright under the hall light. In the kitchen. I pressed the smoke detector test button. It beeped loud and sure. She logged the time. The outlets showed new covers. No damage. The moisture reader blinked green, dry as faith. The fridge gleamed, labeled meals, fruit, allergy plan taped to the door. She nodded once. Well organized. The bedroom was neat. Fresh sheets, lamp on low, meds locked safe. Immunization record, she asked. I slid a folder across the table. Right there with his attendance report. Thank you. Miss Booker, she said. Not many homes have this level of order. Then she read aloud from her tablet. Anonymous caller alleged unsafe stairs. Confusion, stove left on. I felt my breath hitch. I showed her Bernice's texts, screenshots of Rowena feeding neighbors those same phrases. They practiced those words, Micah said suddenly. I recorded them. His voice cracked, but he didn't flinch. I unlocked my desk drawer, pulled out his tablet. A short clip played. Damon whispering. Say she forgets things. It'll make the case stronger. Miss Lowell frowned, took notes. Possible coaching? She said. Narrative duplication. Talia's voice came through speakerphone. Please authorize a forensic copy. Miss Lowell nodded. I kept my tone steady. We're not performing here. We're preserving truth. At the kitchen table. Miss Lowell turned to Micah. How do you feel living here? He answered clearly. Safe. Grandma cooks. We say grace. I sleep fine. Anything scare you lately? Just them lying about her. She smiled gently. You did right by speaking up. I stayed quiet, letting my hands rest folded. Talia whispered, Perfect, don't editorialize. Miss Lowell asked for his schoolwork samples. I emailed them right from my phone. Neat grades, consistent attendance. She checked the clock. I've seen what I need. Meanwhile, Talia filed an emergency motion, no contact and evidence preservation. Her voice stayed firm. We're requesting to bar harassment, secure recordings, and halt contractor entry. Within minutes, the duty judge returned a stamped order. I opened my email to find the PDF. Temporary no contact. Micah Lamont, property access restricted. Digital evidence preserved. I forwarded it to Miss Lowell, then to Rowena and Damon. Outside. Rowena raised her voice. You're twisting everything! Miss Lowell stepped out. Ma'am, read the order. Tonight's not the forum, Damon muttered. Lawyer tricks. I sipped my tea. It's called paper. Baby. Keeps folks honest. Damon tried posting another vague update online about elder safety concerns. I took a screenshot with timestamp and let silence do the work. The HOA president sent a follow-up to all members. Inspection verified safe, prior message withdrawn. CPS requested a copy for their record. I agreed. My choir group text buzzed. You okay, Sister Booker? I replied. We're all right. God don't miss. Miss Alma Lowell packed up her files, thanked me for cooperation, and scheduled a Monday follow-up. When they left, the patrol car headlights stayed idling at the curb. I logged everything in my spiral. Names, times, badge numbers. Micah changed into his pajamas while I laid out my usher gloves for church. Can we still go tomorrow? He asked. Yes. Baby. We'll sit front row. I tucked him in and lingered till his breathing slowed. Then the doorbell rang again. A man in a raincoat held another envelope. Amended petition, he said. Filed tonight. I opened it under the lamp. New accusations, elder neglect, unsafe occupancy. Attached were photos I didn't recognize. My kitchen, taken through the window. My pulse steadied into something cold. I stepped to the porch light. Fresh mud streaked the sill beneath the glass. Someone had been here, watching, while the state stood in my living room. I didn't wake Micah. The last thing that boy needed was another night of fear. I slipped on my robe, phone light in hand, and stepped onto the porch. The rain had turned to mist, and the mud by the kitchen window glistened like ink. I crouched low and photographed the prints, fresh, wide, deep enough to tell me someone had leaned close. I grabbed a ruler from my sewing kit, placed it beside the marks for scale, and snapped again. My alarm system chimed faintly as I switched it to Stay Plus Perimeter. Every window sensor armed, every camera synced. I wrote the exact time in my spiral notebook, 11:27 p.m. Trespass evidence, back window. Then I called the non-emergency line. This is Clarice Booker, I said, steady as Sunday prayer. Someone's been on my property during a legal investigation. 2 patrol cars arrived in under 10 minutes. Officer Daniels led, flashlight beam cutting the dark. I showed him the photos on my phone before we approached the window. Don't step close, I warned. Scenes logged. He crouched, clicked his own photos, measured the tread width, and bagged a small flake of dried mud that had fallen onto the garden brick. You did right preserving it, he said. I handed him my binder copy of the CPS report and inspection note. He scribbled details, murmuring, possible connection to prior visitation timing. I signed the incident sheet, took my case number, and added his badge ID to my log. Before leaving, he advised, email porch and foyer clips by noon. Keep the yard lights steady. I thanked him. When the cruiser pulled away, I set my geofence app, silent alerts only, but high frame capture if anyone stepped into my yard again. At 12:40 a.m., Bernice airdropped me her doorbell footage. The clip showed a tall figure at 8:42 p.m., hoodie up, gloves on, moving toward my backyard. I paused it. Light from her porch caught a reflective swoosh on the sneaker, zoomed closer. The right heel was worn outward, almost identical to Damon's pair from the HOA Family Day photos. I didn't say it aloud. I just noted comparative tread pattern, pending confirmation. Micah's tablet auto-backed up new clips overnight. I didn't touch them, only queued a hash verification file like Talia had taught me. Then I wrote a brief email to Miss Lowell from CPS. Trespass confirmed, police case number attached, occurred during after wellness check. Talia called at 1. Her tone sharpened into business mode. Pull router logs, connected MAC addresses from 7 to 10 p.m. Export your alarm app's activity feed. I followed every word. We're filing a motion for HOA lockbox disclosure, she continued. Some communities keep universal codes. We'll find out. She arranged for a field tech at dawn to clone my camera cards and extract EXIF data. Say less, record more, she reminded me. I smiled faintly. My new gospel. She laughed low. You're learning fast. I laid out my usher whites on the chair. Routine still mattered. I switched my tablet to airplane mode so no cloud sync could alter timestamps. At sunrise, my phone buzzed with Talia's forward. The HOA president had written back at 6:15 a. We regret that a landscaping contractor previously retained community access via universal lockbox code. The code has since been changed. My stomach tightened. I hadn't had a lockbox since my husband died. No reason anyone should have had entry. I checked the gate post, a faint circle of cleaner wood where one had hung years ago. The HOA's PDF showed a temporary access code, issued the same week Rowena moved supplies into my shed. I forwarded it to Officer Daniels and CPS with the subject line, Security breach, unauthorized access during custody dispute. Mike awoke to the smell of pancakes. Are we safe? Grandma, he asked. We're careful. I told him, and careful people stay safe. We dressed for church, both of us neat. I slipped a blank USB into my purse beside my gloves. In the parking lot, Sister Linnell waved a printout. Saw the HOA update, she said. Might help you. I thanked her and tucked it away. The sermon that morning hit straight. Doing right when no one claps for it. I didn't cry, but I came close. After service, I scanned the newsletter for Talia in the church office. Chain of faith meeting chain of evidence. By noon, we were home. The house felt alert. Every camera watching like a guardian angel made of wires. I set a decoy tablet by the kitchen window, camera facing out, recording silently. I dusted the sill edge with UV powder, just enough to leave proof on any trespasser's hands. The smart bulbs flipped into random mode to fake motion inside. Movie night early. Baby, I told Micah. Pick something smart. He chose hidden figures. I smiled. Good choice. By dusk, I brewed tea and muted every call except Talia, Bernice, and Officer Daniels. Then the motion alert pinged. A silhouette leaned at the same window. The UV powder would tell me who. The figure raised a phone and whispered one word. My daughter's name. The courthouse smelled like old wood and coffee grounds. I walked in wearing my navy suit and my usher pearls, the ones I saved for serious days. Talia Cruz was already waiting by the bench, calm as always. Manila folders spread before her like instruments before surgery, each labeled in thick marker, UV, router, OA, CPS. We reviewed the chain of custody, police report, SD card images, camera logs, everything stamped and signed. I practiced my statement under my breath, 17 seconds, no adjectives, no emotion. Across the aisle, Rowena sat stiff beside Damon, whispering too close. His hoodie was gone. The sneakers looked new, clean enough to suggest guilt scrubbed away. I texted Bernice, if Judge asks, be ready to send the doorbell clip. Micah sat next to a child advocate, nervous but trying brave. I touched his hand. Just the truth. Sweetheart, that's all it takes. When court opened, the tension thickened like humidity before a storm. Talia began with evidence chain. Your Honor, we introduced stills from the kitchen sill UV trace, captured at 7:58 p.m. She held up the photo, bright streak glowing blue under blacklight. Officer Daniels' report confirms transfer to a dark sleeve caught on camera. The judge leaned in. Comparison requested? Yes, Your Honor. Talia pulled up Damon's Instagram. Public post, 2 weeks ago. Same tattoo along his wrist. The defense objected, claiming privacy invasion. The judge overruled for limited visual match. The room shifted, gallery murmuring, eyes bouncing between the monitor and Damon's arm. I didn't move. My hands stayed flat on the table, palms grounded. Miss Booker, the judge asked, did you authorize anyone near that window? No, Your Honor. The quiet that followed was louder than any shout. Next, Talia presented router logs. Clean, time-stamped, undeniable. This device connected to Miss Booker's Wi-Fi at 8:41 p.m., she said, highlighting the unknown MAC address. Signal strength indicates proximity within 10 feet of her kitchen. She passed up the HOA subpoena, the temporary access code Rowena had requested, for appraisal. The judge read it aloud, his tone dropping to ice. So you requested access during an active custody dispute? Rowena shifted, eyes wet but not sorry. Bernice's doorbell clip synced perfectly with the router ping. The figure paused at the gate right as the signal spiked. This paints a troubling picture, the judge said. One suggesting surveillance, not safety. Talia nodded once. Exactly, Your Honor. Rowena's lawyer tried to pivot fast. My client's mother has turned her home into a fortress. Cameras, alarms, constant recording. It's harassment, plain and simple. Talia didn't flinch. Protection, not paranoia. The judge gestured for my statement. I stood, spine straight. I paid for my home. I repaired it. They had keys once. Those were revoked in June after property misuse. I've kept documentation ever since. Her attorney tried again, tone sharp. You used your church friends to smear them online? I looked him square in the eye. Sir, my faith builds people up. It doesn't tear them down. A low hum rippled through the gallery. The judge asked Rowena directly, Who was the appraiser? She stammered, no answer. Silence clamped down hard. Then came the moment that cracked everything open. The judge asked if Micah wished to speak. My heart pounded. He nodded, clutching his tablet. Your Honor, he said softly. May I show something my mom doesn't know I have? The bailiff brought it forward. Talia confirmed the hash. The video played. Rowena's voice off camera. Tell the lady Nana forgets the stove. Say you're scared. Then Damon. Film the window so it looks unsafe. Gasps broke out. The judge raised a hand for order. Another clip followed. Rowena reading from her phone. Temporary lockbox access confirmed. Damon again. Good. 10 minutes. In and out. You could have heard a pin drop. The judge exhaled slow. This court does not tolerate manipulation of a child or system interference. By afternoon, judgment fell swift and solid. Eviction denied with prejudice. Protective order granted. No contact, no entry. All keys surrendered. CPS to reassess custody placement. Micah stays with me under supervision. Talia pushed further. Device preservation, full HOA audit, sanctions hearing next. The judge agreed on record. I thanked him quietly. Damon glared, jaw tight. This isn't over, Dara, he hissed. It's over for today, I said, calm as ice, in the hallway. Talia mapped next steps. Civil claim, HOA complaint, digital forensics follow-up. Bernice pressed a USB into my palm. Keep this safe, honey. I promised I would. Back home. I changed every lock again. Micah ate mac and cheese while I scheduled a smart home reset. Nana, can we be normal now? He asked. I smiled faintly. We'll be safe, baby. Normal can wait. That night, my porch light blinked twice. Off pattern. My phone showed a new login attempt from a name I hadn't seen in months. Row home iPhone. Someone still had a door. I woke before dawn, the sky still bruised from night. The house hummed softly. Quiet meant safe. I checked my phone and opened the audit dashboard. Every connected device, every camera ping. I revoked old tokens, renamed the Wi-Fi, and reset every password with two-factor authentication tied to my landline. My fingers trembled only once when I hit confirm. Micah padded into the kitchen. Rubbing sleep from his eyes, I poured oatmeal and checked his inhaler. Safety rules, I told him, are like seatbelts, not because we're scared, because we're smart. He nodded. Spoon-tapping rhythm on the bowl. I printed copies of the protective order, slid one into a red folder marked school, tucked another in the glove compartment, and pinned one near the door. If someone asks questions, I said, you point to that folder. Before the coffee finished brewing, I texted Talia for language templates. Everything must stay in writing. At Holloway Middle, the morning smelled like crayons and sanitizer. The vice principal greeted us politely, but watched me with that careful curiosity people wear after gossip. I handed her the red folder. These are the court orders, contacts, and restrictions. I said. She initialed each page and promised daily dismissal emails for 1 week. A PTA mom whispered near the lockers. Heard her daughter took her to court. I smiled, steady. Kids need quiet, not rumors. She blushed and turned away. At the front office, I added Rowena and Damon's photos to the restricted pickup list. Before leaving, I bought a prepaid flip phone for Micah. Emergency only. 911 first, me second, I taught him, in the parking lot. I recorded a 2-minute voice memo. Drop-off completed, staff notified, paperwork filed. My voice sounded tired but strong. By noon, I was at the bank, sitting across from Marcia, the branch manager I'd known since she was a teller. We need to tighten things, I said. She adjusted her glasses. You always were 1 step ahead, Clarice. Together we froze secondary accounts, set verbal passwords, and added alerts for withdrawals over $50. I filed fraud protection on utilities. 2. My calm voice surprised me. I signed documents without a tremor. Calm is the strategy, I whispered. Documentation is the sword. That evening, the HOA clubhouse filled with folding chairs and forced smiles. Bernice sat beside me, recording time-stamped audio for Talia. The board president read the apology, official and awkward. We regret issuing a temporary lockbox code that breached protocol and endangered Miss Booker's household. The room murmured. He continued. New rules. No code access without homeowners present. Photo ID required for all vendors. A woman asked me to speak. Safety shouldn't depend on who's related to whom, I said. Family drama isn't policy. Afterwards, someone muttered. She's suing her daughter. I turned gently. I'm protecting my grandson. That's what mothers do when children forget how... The next day brought a new ripple. Talia forwarded an HR notice from Damon's company. His conduct during an active court case triggered an internal ethics review. I didn't smile. We want safety, not revenge, I told Talia. She understood. Still, Rowena posted online that I'd coached a child for sympathy. Screenshots saved, time-stamped, archived. My pastor called that afternoon. You holding up, Sister Booker? Holding steady, I said. Keep the church out of Facebook fires. He chuckled softly. You always were the firewall. Thursday. After Micah's basketball practice, a gray SUV idled near the school. Damon. No scheduled visit. My stomach went cold, but my voice stayed even. Seatbelt, baby. I dialed non-emergency police, recited the protective order number, and stayed in the car. Micah quietly noted the time and plate number on a sticky note. Patrol arrived quick. The officer handed Damon a paper, violation warning logged. I thanked him. Recorded badge number and incident ID, and texted both to Talia. Still want those burgers? Micah asked, trying a smile. Absolutely, I said. Justice doesn't cancel dinner. By Friday, the church fellowship hall felt like refuge again. I limited my circle. Just Linnell and 2 trusted women handling the meal train. No gossip prayers allowed. I donated Micah's old bike for the youth auction. A small act of moving forward, his counselor's email arrived that evening. Recommendations for structured routines, emotional validation, and 5 safe adults. I printed it, pinned it to the fridge. Micah read it aloud, proud of his name on something official. When a deacon's wife suggested, maybe forgiveness means letting them come home, I smiled sadly. Forgiveness isn't a lockbox code. She didn't argue. That night, I indexed exhibits for Talia's sanctions hearing, color-coded tabs, every file documented down to the second. My impact statement sat on top. Being elderly doesn't mean being easy to erase. I brewed chamomile tea and watched Micah write his safe places list. Nana, he said, you're number 1. I tucked him in, turned out the light, and let the stillness settle like a quilt over the house. At 10:42 p.m., a new email blinked on my screen. Anonymous sender, subject line. Appraisal truth. Muv. The note said only, you don't know me, but you should see this. At dawn, the house was still. I brewed coffee and clicked the link from last night's anonymous email. The video opened full screen, grainy but clear enough. Damon's voice carried that slick charm he used at every barbecue. Keep the number low so Mom looks house poor. He sat across from a man in a blazer who nodded, scribbling on a clipboard. Off the record, Damon added. We'll clean it up after the transfer. The appraiser muttered something about risk, but Damon pressed. I recognized Rowena's initials in the text thread on screen, confirming the meeting time. I paused the video, heart steady. Then I forwarded everything to Talia. Within minutes, she replied, verified, metadata intact. Bring it, I printed the new exhibit index. Doorbell clip, Choe apology, school logs, protective order, and now, appraisal truth, move. Micah shuffled into the kitchen, hair wild. Nana, are we safe, he asked. I knelt to meet his eyes. We're not scared, I said softly. We're smart and we're ready. He smiled small. I packed the red folder, zipped it tight, and slipped into my navy suit. My mother's pearls caught the morning light, armor disguised as grace. Dress like you expect to be heard, I whispered to my reflection. Court felt colder that day. Talia met me at the bench, papers crisp in her hands. We start with truth, not noise, she said. The appraiser from the video was sworn in. His voice shook as he admitted Damon's request to undervalue my house. He said it would make eviction easier, he confessed. Gasps fluttered through the gallery. The judge leaned forward, brow furrowed. Play the video again. Damon's voice echoed in surround sound. If the number tanks, she'll fold. My stomach tightened, but I didn't blink. Talia laid out the timeline. HOA access and trespass evidence, appraisal scheme, all connected by intent. This isn't family disagreement, she told the court. This is coercive control wrapped in sentiment. When it was my turn, I stood. Your Honor, being elderly doesn't mean being easy to erase. I wrote everything down because I knew someday the truth would need a witness. Rowena's lawyer objected for relevance. The judge cut him off. Overruled, goes to credibility and pattern. Micah's counselor memo was entered next. No blame, just context. The air felt clean after that, like something toxic had finally burned off. Then came Talia's closing act. She handed the judge a slim folder labeled Trust Addendum. Inside was the notarized document we'd filed earlier that week. My home now under the Clarisse Wennell Booker Living Trust, with Linnell as backup trustee if I ever fell ill. The judge flipped through it, nodding. This home predates the marriage, correct? Yes, Your Honor, I said. Built with my husband's pension and my own 2 hands, Talia added. The eviction pretext fails. Title law stands. Rowena's face drained of color. Damon stared at the floor, motionless. This house, I said, voice low but sure, is an anchor, not an ATM, and anchors don't drift for convenience. The judge smiled faintly. Sound reasoning, Miss Booker. The gavel struck once, sharp as closure. Sanctions came next, measured, firm. Monetary penalties for discovery misconduct. Therapeutic visitation for Rowena under supervision. Damon barred until his HR review concluded. The judge ordered an independent appraisal and forbade any property access without my consent. The court affirms Miss Booker's right to quiet enjoyment, he said, and her grandson's right to peace. Micah, sitting behind me, whispered. Can I keep the flip phone? The judge chuckled. That's good safety practice, young man. I smiled through the weight lifting from my chest when the hearing ended. Talia leaned close. We didn't destroy them, she said. We just stopped the destroying back home. The sun slanted warm through the kitchen window. I taped my new house rules to the fridge, visitor log, key control, and one line bolded in red. No adult conflict in front of Micah. I called Pastor and Linnell, thanking them for prayers that stayed off social media. Then I emailed the neighbors, grateful for vigilance without gossip. We're a neighborhood, I wrote, not a rumor mill. Micah hung his first A+ spelling test beside the protective order copy and grinned. We did it. Nana, we did it right, I corrected, spooning peach cobbler into 2 bowls. That night, I double-locked the door. The click echoed steady and final. Safety had a sound, and it was that. As I wiped the counter, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I'm ready to talk. Mom." I stared at it, then set the phone face down. Some doors only open once the locks are earned. Monday morning broke golden. I poured coffee just as my inbox chimed. A corporate HR email. Employment terminated. Policy violation confirmed. Before I could process, the doorbell rang. Through the frosted glass, Rowena stood alone. No cameras, no counsel, no script. Clarice stood frozen at the door, her reflection trembling in the glass between them. Rowena's eyes were red. No makeup, no armor, just a daughter stripped of pride. "Mama," she whispered, voice barely holding. Behind her, an idling car door slammed. Another shadow stepped forward. Was this an apology or a new attack?